Oh, okay, yes. They were saying, do I believe that love is a two-way street? Yes, I believe that love is a two-way street. However, I also am a realist, and I understand that sometimes the way we view love is very, very different. Okay, I am not a person that views love by society standards, and a lot of times we believe that love is us holding our partners hostage. We believe that. I believe that love is freedom. Okay, I'm gonna address that in a second. Like we can't just think that because we love somebody we gotta know everything and that ain't cool. And then also we expect that everybody got a way that they like to be loved based off of their own conditioning, based off of what they've been through, based off of how they was raised, everything. A lot of times what I find, especially with women, is we expect our partners to love us in the way that we require them to love. And a lot of time our partners, the masculines, do not even hold the capacity to love us in that way because they got their own things they're dealing with. And a lot of times, I'm be honest with you, women believe that men don't got emotions and they don't feel. Like we just believe, okay, let's get deep with this. When it comes to love, y'all, okay, love is a two-way street, but that does not mean that if someone is not loving you the way that you require them, expect them to love you, that they don't love you. Everyone has their own way of expressing love, okay? And sometimes it might not be in the same way we express love. And that's the only way we acknowledge and notice love, is if it's coming from the exact same way we express it. Okay, so I believe love is a two-way street, and I also believe that relationships sometimes are not always loving relationships. Some relationships, even if you're a romantic one, is more business and about obligation than it is about love. I also believe that a lot of even friendships is more about like validation and things like that over love. So it all depends on what your definition of love is, and if you are basing love based off of society standards or just based off of how you feel you need to be loved. So yeah, but definitely love is a two-way street, but it's not linear. I don't believe it's linear at all.
Cool. Wow. Yeah, I ain't gotta add nothing on there. All right, Juice, you got a question on that, or you got a new question?
Man, I got questions, man. You know I got to answer questions, man. When I find out who reported my live, send some spirits your way, nigga.
No, I appreciate them. I mean, I'm disappointed that the live didn't say, but I also want to thank my people because they do be having my backs. I appreciate y'all so much. But no, this is not spam. I feel bad now.
This is real, y'all.
Okay, man. I got a two-part question, right? So the first question is, when you met your husband and you said you was being protective, was that, you said because you didn't want to be vulnerable or you protecting yourself, was that your mama bear instincts because you do have a child? Or was that just really based off y'all two relationships?
That was control.
Okay.
That was me feeling like ain't nobody gonna do that. Ain't nobody gonna get over me no more. I'm gonna know everything you doing. Like I'm gonna know before you. I ain't gonna be surprised by nothing. You ain't gonna catch me off guard. I'm gonna be aware. You ain't gonna do nothing behind my back. I ain't gonna find out about it in no surprising type of way. I gotta have my guard up at all times to make sure I'm 2 steps ahead of you and not 2 steps behind. So I would say that wasn't mama bear instincts. No, because I wasn't protective of him. Like he's a whole lion out here in these streets. I don't gotta protect him in no type of way like I protect my child. But it was more so I'm going to control what I feel is mine. And at that time, I felt like he was mine, and I'm going to control, and I'm going to voice how I feel to make sure that you know you ain't going to get away with nothing. You ain't going to do it. So don't even try. So I feel like it was more so like feeling like I'm putting some fear behind somebody that I really can't put no fear behind, but my mind is thinking I can. So I'm feeling good by the words that I'm using, but it really ain't doing nothing but cause the problem type of energy. That's what that was.
So is that toxic femininity or like?
No, that's toxic masculinity because women carry masculine energy too. Control is ruled by the solar plexus, so that's masculine energy. Now, being over possessive, being jealous, that's the dark feminine. But control, feeling like you need to be hard and be like very much like in your fire, that is very much toxic masculinity. And women can have toxic masculine energy as well. We're all made up of masculine and feminine energies. Most women sometimes are in their toxic masculine and need to tame that beast within them, just like we say the men need to do, and bring that feminine energy out. So they said they can't imagine me that way. I tell you all the time, I was a hot mess.
But I do like how you express that women can have toxic masculinity because it's too much rooted into the males. It's too much rooted in men. I was like, no, women can do the same thing. It's the same thing with toxic femininity. It's just like you said, it's a form of dark feminine energy. So
a jealous man is in his dark feminine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Jealousy is a feminine energy. Control is a masculine. So the roles can definitely be reversed because we're all, you think about it, it's just more of the, okay, so women carry that certain chromosome and men carry a certain chromosome. That's the only thing that's really separating us energetically wise. But outside of that, we're all made up of both polarities. So, and some men are more so in their feminine energy than their masculine. Sometimes a woman could play a masculine role in a relationship if they're in a relationship with a feminine man, and that relationship might work because now we got balance. We got one person in the masculine, one person in the feminine. But the problems come in is when you got two people in their masculine trying to be in that masculine space, because masculine energy, what it do? It repel, it fights, it's competitive. It's not a loving. It don't draw. So let's think of a battery, right? You got the plus, you got the minus side. The minus sign is going to magnetize the plus to it. But if we got two pluses, it's going to repel the energy. It's the same thing with us. If you got two energies, like men, when they, like you and your business partner, like if y'all aren't kind of somewhat in this energy where it's like competitive, maybe healthy competition, you know, but it's not a attraction because y'all are two masculine energies. It's not going to attract at all. That masculine, that lion, that beast going to come out, and that's what it's going to be. A woman that's in her masculine is also in that energy. Like I said, I was very beastie. Okay, I was in that control energy. I need to have that power. Then he's already all the way alpha male. So it's like two masculines, it's automatically going to be like beast, fight each other head off. But the second one person submits and they becoming that feminine, no matter which person it is, it's now a natural attraction. We got a resolution we can come to now. We can actually hear each other clearly. One person's going to be in the feminine, they're going to be listening. The other person's going to be in the masculine, they're going to be talking. So the roles are definitely interchangeable. It can work if a woman's in her masculine, but that man's probably going to be in his feminine. It's not going to be a masculine type of relationship. It's never
There we go. Because I got additional. Well, actually, I still have one more question, but now I got two now. So, okay, the second question was going to be based on, okay, when you said you finally got back to your feminine energy, how'd that come about? Did you see other women acting feminine? Did you see other relationships of how it was working? Or it's just like, all right, I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to allow myself to happen. And you naturally went back to your feminine.
I was tired. And it was to the point where I finally got to a point in my healing journey where I've done enough shadow work where I was able to surrender. And the crazy thing about it, though, is my mom is the most feminine woman that you will ever meet. I ain't never seen this woman raise her voice. This woman always was submissive. Like, if you, and I'm a mama's girl, like everybody, and I'm the only child, like me and my mom, we like this. So if anything, I should have been destined to be in my feminine energy, you know, but it didn't turn out like that. That wasn't what my soul was here to learn. And we all got lessons that our soul is here to learn. And with me being an Aries sun, I'm here to learn how to tame that beast. Sagittarius moon, I'm here to learn how to put some water in that fire sometimes. So I had to go through that. And then once I got to a point where I learned certain things and I realized that my power came from my being in my feminine and not in my masculine, and I learned how to use that power, it was a wrap. Because all I really wanted was power. But my power did not come from being in that masculine.
All right, definitely got a question on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
ask your question. Yeah, I still got one more after that. Go ahead.
All right, so do you think society plays a role into disconnecting women from their femininity and men from their masculinity?
Yes. 100%.
Bingo!
We live in a patriarchal society. The whole society. I call it the matrix. A lot of people call it the matrix, but we've been programmed to be in our masculine. Especially in our community, like child. Like this is it's bad. I mean, I think all women have been conditioned and programmed. Majority of women that live, especially in this Western culture, have been programmed to be in that masculine energy. But particularly our culture, like it's gotten out of hand. Like, it's gotten to the point now where I don't even know how to explain it. It's like times 10 to the point where it's like our men have been so disempowered by society, and then the feminine in the community, in the Black community, has also been programmed to believe and to look at our men as disempowered, just like society looks at them as disempowered, and we literally are just broken. Like, and I think that's why I do what I do, and I fight for men. Like, they'll tell you, like, I'm always, like, I feel like I'm the masculine voice sometimes, but I feel like my whole purpose is to help women tap into their feminine, because, and I feel like I'm beating, like, it's kind of like a losing battle sometimes because I'm going against the machine. But I do feel like we've been programmed to believe that we just have to be successful. We got away from being, like, a lot of some women don't even want kids. Like, it's just like, no, I don't want kids to slow me down. I don't want that much responsibility. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. It's like, sis, like, this is what you desire to do. It's like, you gotta, and I always tell women too, like, and listen, I'm gonna get on you, because one of my girls came on here and she said, Ruth told me, I was on the live, she's like, Ruth told me that women is the CEO of their households. And he was like, women is not the CEO of their households. But I think there was a disconnect, though, because I think that you was understanding. You remember that?
Yeah, we remember that. We remember that.
Okay,
I was going to say, like, I don't know which one of us that was directed. I got to get on. I was like, wait, which one?
Juice.
Yeah, you did a whole breakdown.
But I think that was misinterpreted, because I think you thought that she was saying that I was saying that women make the rules and run their households. No, I don't believe that at all. But I do believe that women keep the balance and keep the energy of the home. Like, women make the home. Like, how you run your household energetically, as far as energy is concerned, is going to determine how that man gets up and shows up in the world the next day. It's going to determine how your kids show up to school the next day. It's going to determine how the people in your household are thinking and responding to their emotions. It's going to determine a lot. So we got to think. Men are the head of the household when it comes to the worldly side of things. But at the end of the day, when it comes to that energy, when it comes to that peace, when it comes to that grace, the compassion, the feminine energy in the home, the woman is responsible for that. Like, that's why I said married men have longer lifespans. And that's statistically proven. Because a woman that's in her feminine provides that space where a man can actually show up to the world at his highest vibration and his highest potential. So that's what I meant by spiritual CEO. I mean, not spiritual, the woman is the CEO of her home, more so like that spiritual feminine CEO of the home.
But I'll also say the main thing that you said was the energy that's placed inside of it, the feminine energy. If the energy is the same as the man, that's why the man will eventually step out, right? So I told X, we talked about this all the time, right? When you get a house as a man, that's really not your house. That's her house. That's really her territory to roam around. And
right, exactly.
That's why men, what do? They get a man cave. They make shit out of the garage. Yeah. They make it
bachelor pad. Yep.
Right. It's not on the basis that he's not welcome to move around his house. He understands a woman wants to move around as much as possible and make sure things are a certain way within the house. Right. I had to explain this to one of my homeboys and stuff. Right. I was like, bro, I'm gonna be honest. Why you having so much conflict at your house? You're home too fucking much. She don't know, like, if you're really out there producing or actually doing anything, right?
And a man that's home too much.
I'd rather you just be like, I'd rather you start coming home at least a little bit hour later, and you just fucking playing video games at your homeboy house, or you at the gym working out. But if you're home too much, you're not producing as a man. That's why I always say this on the show, 24/7. I said, I'm never gonna be. You're never going to tie me down for producing as a man. If I come home late, come home late. If I'm doing something, I'm doing something. You're not going to make me feel bad. Because at the same time, if I come home and the energy there is you're right in the mind, that's why I said when you allow a man to produce, protect, provide, like I said, she'll be in her feminine energy or she'll learn to submit. So, but at the same time, I'm not a man that's going to ask a woman to submit or be feminine. I only date women that are only in that natural state, period. But yeah, like I said, when we break it down on that level, the feminine energy will always keep that house happy. Period.
I gotta say something. Okay, so yes, exactly. I'm glad you brought up. A man that is home too much will always cause problems as well, because not to call y'all animals, but you gotta think of like a caged in animal. Like seriously, like a man at a certain point when they've been home too much or in that space for too long, it's going to internally just start feeling caged in. And then what comes the need for that? It comes the need for freedom, to break free. And then they do crazy things to actually get that freedom. So definitely. And then another thing too, when it comes to the stepping out. Now, I'm not a person who, like, I'm going to say men are excused from cheating and all that, because I know it's a big trigger. But I always tell women too, like, you can't, one thing that women always say when a man does step out is like, why would he step out with her? Why would he do this? I just don't understand. Men are not ruled by their emotions like women are ruled by their emotions. That's the first thing. And then secondly, you can never compare yourself physically or what you have when it comes to a man stepping out on you, because men don't look for the same things women look for in relationships. Women look for that security. Women looking at that degree, how much money that man make. That man don't care how much money you make or how many degrees you got. Like, you can be the most lit, financially secure woman, beautiful, and still get cheated on because you're not in your feminine energy. You gotta think, men want what they don't have, which is that yin energy, which is that peace, that comfort, that compassion, that grace, the listener, that energy. We think that because we come into the table with a degree and a bank account and a nice car and a good job, that's going to prevent a man from cheating on you. That don't prevent no man from cheating on you. That's not what a man is looking for. Like, I mean, it's a plus. When you bring it to the table, we going to eat good. We going to eat real good. But at the end of the day, like, you got to be that peace. You got to bring, it's the energy in the space. It's not about the physical in the space. So yeah, definitely. And then on the man part, in order to get a woman to submit to a certain extent, you got to, and no matter how much that woman might say, it's okay, babe. It's okay. Don't worry. I got this. Eventually, she gonna start looking at you a certain type of way, because naturally that's how we're wired. We're naturally wired to want security and want protection. And when you don't get that, no matter how much we try to tell our logical mind that it's okay, that's your spirit, your soul, that feminine energy within you is gonna be like, once you get burnt out, I'm tired of doing this all on my own. Then you're gonna start looking at him different. Then the problems come in. So it's just like, everybody just needs to stop lying to themselves. And everybody just needs to really focus on what it is that they need to bring to the table. And that's what comes to women too. All these women want to be successful and put their love and all this on the back burner, and they want to be ruled by their degree. I don't need you. I don't need you. You need it. You need them. You need them. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. But yeah, I just wanted to clear that up, because I was like, I don't need
I like that. Look, hey, whenever you want to come at Juice, baby, just don't juice them.
Hey, but you said some powerful things there. The most powerful thing is people got to stop lying to themselves. I think a lot of men and women, they want people to perform certain actions and perform at a certain level, but you don't know all the details, and you don't agree with all the details. But you still want this end result, and it's not possible, because you're going to have to go through everything that details that just to get that end result. So I appreciate the honesty, the realness. You're giving them the process and the details.
And I think that's what's important. Like, we throw this word love, and everybody want a relationship, but a lot of people don't know how to be in one. And I feel like that's where the problems come into place. And it's not about gender roles. It's just about energy. That's what I'm saying. We start living our life based off of energy. I feel like everything would just be in flow.
Man, look, I'm about to say, I see no gender roles anytime I'm working in the suburbs. I see women cutting the grass, like doing all that stuff. Like I said, I brought it up before. A lady told me, like, look, my husband's out there working. If something needs to get done, I'm going to get it done. He allows me to stay at home. Or if I want to, I can get a part-time job. I ain't got
no problem cutting the grass. I change the tire too.
But see, it be situations like that where some people be like, I don't give a fuck what he do. He still didn't come cut the, like, yo, it's just like, it's all about lighting the load. because, like they said, majority of people will not be able to be at home full time. So when you actually are able to get time, it's like, hey, like, make shit simple. Like, I feel like, I didn't feel like, I remember I was talking to a lady that one time, and I just pitched her. I said, look, if you need a place to stay and you work, and you know you're about to lose your spot, the only thing I'm going to ask you while you're here, just bring food. I feel like the smallest thing you can do is like, hey, just bring groceries. That's the smallest thing I feel like any man can ask somebody until you're able to accommodate all the bills. Smallest thing, just groceries. Hell, I don't like grocery shopping. Shit. I don't like grocery shopping. That's another thing.
Right. So that's
always improvise. Like some people might not like grocery shopping. I don't like grocery shopping. I think Instacart was the best invention that was ever created.
Yeah. You talking about Instacart?
Like, I remember.
Hey, take this man out to the store, man.
It's done. But no, I definitely don't agree with the major gender rolling at all. It's all about flow and how we gonna get things done. That's just what it is. And I also feel like we sometimes expect things. Our expectations are very high because a lot of times, like I'm a shadow trigger. Like I'm gonna trigger your shadow. I'm gonna make you look at things within yourself that you overly too focused on the other person with. Like a lot of times as women, our focus is too much on the man to the point where we're expecting so much, but we're not even looking at what we're bringing to the table. And even if that's something that man needs you to bring to the table, like you might be thinking you bringing the whole table and he looking at you like you ain't bringing nothing because you ain't bringing what he needs to the table. So it's like, it's not all about your expectations. It's also about that person's expectation. That's where communication comes in. Communication breakdowns is major in relationships because everybody is wanting something, but nobody is speaking up and letting it be known what they want because everybody's trying to avoid problems. So now we beating around the bush. Now we got a lot of tension in the house because everybody being passive aggressive. It's a lot. So when it comes to expectations, I just feel like if we're gonna hold anybody under expectations, we need to hold ourselves under the expectation first and make sure we're bringing the best version of ourselves to the relationship before we look at the other person and try to condemn them or judge them on what they not bringing to the relationship. It all starts with you. And I always tell people, again, we dealing with energy. Artist suggestion, ladies, it's amazing. Like you get more from a man from the artist suggestion than you do by doing this. You start doing little subtle things. If you want flowers, stop buying flowers and sending it to your house every week. I guarantee you, he's gonna start bringing you flowers because this natural programming, it's learned behavior. If somebody sees you doing something constantly without you telling them, this is what I like, this is what I like, this is what I like, start doing it for yourself. You're going to show them what you like instead of telling them what you like. So it's subtle ways to work with the male ego and to work with the human psyche. But a lot of us are so conditioned in that society. It's all programming. You look at these shows, every show you looking at, the women saying what they not going to do, who they not going to be. So it's all conditioning. It's all conditioning.
Laughing. I laugh at all. I know he got a question. I got a whole bunch.
Oh, there we go. All right, so family plays a role in society. All right, so we're talking about how society influences relationships. So have you seen situations to where when women fully tap into, and we can keep it real, like when Black women fully tap into their femininity, do you see them receive pushback from their family members for being in their rightful positioning? And do you see the same thing with men a lot of times?
I see less men that give them pushback when it comes to their friendships, their circles, their friends they hang around. When it comes to their family members, yes. It's because you gotta remember too, we all products of our environment. It's not only social conditioning. So that woman grew up with a strong woman who was breaking her back, who was doing everything, who's telling her certain things. Like you make sure you have your own. You make sure you don't do that. You don't let a man treat you no type of way. And she's always been programmed with that from a young age. And then you are what you attract. So she's attracted women who the same way. The second that woman decides to step into her femininity, she's gonna lose some friends. She gonna lose some friends. She gonna get some pushback from family members because, like I said, that's not what society deems as successful.
They call them pick-me's, the feminine women, boy. I be after them.
I don't agree with the pick-me culture at all. I don't. I feel like the pick-me's be winning.
I do too. I do too.
I feel like the pick-me's be winning. I feel like the pick-me's have learned the science of the relationship, the real relationship culture, and they know how to attract and how to keep.
That's right. That's right. Hey, look, you know some pick-me's, tell them DM me. Ain't that right? Ain't that right?
I do, but look, I just feel like once we start making it okay for that type of, like, that's how I feel like the message needs to be spread, because a lot of women out here are lonely as hell. And once again stop lying to ourselves and realize what it really is, and you realize, okay, I'm gonna get some slack for this, but I'm gonna bring this up. Rest in peace, Kevin Samuels. But I loved Kevin Samuels. Shed a tear when he died and everything, because I feel like with Kevin Samuels, he was telling the truth. His delivery was a little bit whack, but one thing he was saying is a lot of women, we really expect all these things from men that we don't even have. It's like you have to be realistic in where you are as a woman and what you're able to attract. And if you can't attract what you want, you got to raise your value, your own value up to attract what you want. And that's just what goes back to energy again. Goes back to energy. But I do feel like with Kevin Samuels, if he was a little bit more gentler with his approach in a way, he probably would have reached a lot more people. But we need more people like that. We need a lot more people like the Kevin Samuels and the April Masons and the people like that, because I feel like it's coming. I do feel like it's coming.
Oh, man. I love April Mason, but she still got to apologize for what she did, man. She still ain't did it. She still ain't did it. I don't know if you know
about this is where the ego gets triggered. Because we think that when one person, that's another thing about our culture, because we can see somebody making a positive impact on the culture, and the second they do something that we see is wrong, we ready to cancel them. We discredit all the things they contribute. This is where the grace, I mean, you're a man, so I understand. But this is where the grace and compassion comes in. Like, I think sis ain't always right, just like I think Kevin Samuels ain't always right. This is where I recognize the human in everybody, okay? And I recognize that when you are a person and you have a platform and you speak certain things and say you speak something one day, it might be something that you hold close to your heart, but you can't say it publicly or something like that, and you get condemned for it. I don't agree with that either. I just give people the credit for what they do that I see is right, but I don't focus on what they do that's wrong, especially if you have made a positive contribution to the culture.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you know what situation what she
did because of something, one thing or two she said. Just like with Kevin Samuels, like I same thing with him. Like, no, he used to say some crazy things, but I'm not going to take away from that brother's message because he said some crazy things. Yeah, he said some crazy things, but some things that he said was right. Most things that he said is right.
Most of the things he said is right. But no, like I said, I still like April Mason. I think she's a beautiful black woman at the same time, but like I said, I don't know if you know what the situation I was actually talking about, but
when she was on that podcast, that show.
You talking about with the lead attorney?
Yeah, the lead attorney.
Okay, I'm not just that situation, but like the situation dealing with her family member trying to call out black men for not protecting her, and then we find out the whole video footage it wasn't constructed the way that the message was given. So that's
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
I thought you were talking about the lead attorney situation. I'm not aware of that situation.
I'm gonna send you the video so you understand what I mean.
Yeah, send it to me.
I love her. I love her. I think she. Whew. Like, listen, it's something about the way a woman talks, even if it's not feminine, even if it's raised just a slight bit. If you can say it right, it's gonna catch my attention, regardless the message being said. I always tell people at the same time, look, I might not be attracted to women who call themselves alphas, but I do love women who can speak and inspire women to be different in their nature. I think that's powerful because you still have to have the energy flow, right? That's why me as like, let's say I'm Kevin Samuels, right? If I talk the same way he did to a woman, like you said, be more gentle. But if it's a woman talking that nature, she's just being hard on you. It's love. So that's what I'm saying. You just got to understand the voices and the tonality when it comes to the male talking to the woman and the woman talk to the woman, because it's still like the same message, but it's just the gender switch, which will compute in the mind be like, I don't know, but some people can take it. That's why some men, when I'm with other men, I can pull some men to the side and check them, right? They'll understand 100%. And some men I pull to the side, they're not listening to me, so I got to do shit in front of them, in front of other people for them to understand the message. So it's just all about the communication style. But
and you know what Kevin Samuels too, it goes back to what I was talking about with women not meaning to be vulnerable. So you coming at women a certain type of way, and women who already got their defense mechanisms ready to go. You see what I'm saying? You ain't gonna get that guard down with a woman ready to go. Like I'm not the most compassionate with my delivery sometimes. And they'll tell you, like, I'm very blunt, straight to the point, but I'm relatable. You see what I'm saying? I'm relatable and I can relate to where somebody is coming from. So it's kind of like Big Sis, you could look up for my best interest. His delivery, even though I can understand the message, because I'm not like a very sensitive person, and I'm listening to him at a time where I've done work on myself. My God, if I would have heard Kevin Samuels back in Hot Mess days, nah, we wouldn't have matched. We wouldn't have. I wouldn't have recognized.
You gotta do a lot of work. Go ahead.
Right. And to add on, I believe personality worship is a big issue because they go back to like Malcolm and Martin, like. You know what I'm saying? Martin would put the medicine in the candy. Malcolm was like straight in your face. So
I'm a Malcolm girl.
So personality worship would make people feel like they have to choose between the two versus see the similarities. So it's like personality worship can cripple you because when you get to putting people in certain pedestals and spotlights, like I never heard Kevin Samuels say, I'm a leader of the Black community. Like, look at me. He's just a regular person being himself, but you can't really accept him and all of his energy because you feel like you got to worship him just to abstract information. So if you see yourself in a high regard, if you see yourself as a potential leader or a potential person that could be totally masculine or feminine, you know what I'm saying? I think you would just be focused on that journey and you'll see people just adding value to you while you're on that journey versus saying, I got to worship this person 100%. And follow everything they say just to pull from them. So I think that's what cripples our community right now. So
Okay. All right. Well, look, I'm about to get back to firing these questions off. If you ain't got anything to say, Ms. Ruth, do you still got some more time, or you about to?
Yeah. No, I got time. My kids in bed.
Yeah, that's the reason. Ain't no rules to the room.
All right. What are some things you have instilled in your household as far as parenting with everything that you have been through?
Emotional self-regulation. Because it starts in childhood, like learning how to teach your kids how to regulate their emotions. Because when you communicate with somebody and they go off, or they responded from their triggers, or they get defensive, this is a person responding to you from their inner child. This is someone who was not taught how to regulate their emotions from a very young age. So they get into the fiery energy. A lot of times, and we got to remember too, a child is programmed between the ages of 0 and 7. So
that's what they say. After 7, give the child to the father, because then you have to instill more discipline within that child. Well, like I said, look at the statistic says 0 to 7.
Now, this is the thing, though. This is the thing. I don't believe in giving them to the father because I believe that the father can't give just like we say women can't raise boys. That's true.
Oh, that's my fault. That's the analogy I'm saying. After 7, then if you have a boy, then you should give it to the father. That's probably my fault. That's what.
Okay, so no, because that boy needs both. The boy needs. Okay, listen. I got a lot to say about this.
Let's go.
I got a lot to say. Okay, so let me ask you your first question. Your first question was, what am I still in my household? Definitely emotional self-regulation. That's something me and my husband both did not have when we was growing up. Like, we was not taught to regulate our emotions in a healthy way. Meaning that when you get upset, where's those emotions going? What are you doing with that? Where is it? Did you grow up in a household watching your parents argue and fight? That's how you're going to regulate your emotions. You're going to pop off. That's what you're going to do. If you someone that when you feeling upset and you was told to go in your room and be quiet and shut up, you're going to shut down. You're going to become a passive-aggressive type of person. You're not going to speak your truth. You're not going to speak up for yourself. You're going to hold everything in, and then one day it's going to explode and bust out. You got to give your kids, and not only kids, even the adults in your home who was not taught this from young, a safe space and teach them proper ways to release and to handle and to also process and express those emotions. As adults, we don't know how to process our emotions. We don't know how to put our emotions into words. We don't know how to properly channel and regulate them. We don't know what we particularly need in order to self-soothe and provide care for ourselves when we are feeling neglected or we are feeling down. It even comes out as codependency. We're expecting our parent or our partner to provide that safe space for us and coddle us and talk to us and make sure we feel good when that's actually our responsibility to do so. And when you're not taught how to do that for yourself, you're always looking for that in the other person. And then it becomes overbearing when you make somebody else responsible for your happiness, responsible for your peace, and responsible for your joy. And that's how we get into codependent relationships. So the main thing that I am very strong with in my household is teaching my kids how to properly self-regulate their emotions, like giving them proper channels. My kids know to sit on the floor. They know breathing techniques. They know they're going to take a break. They look, okay, I'm upset right now. Let me breathe a little bit. Let me go up here. Let me color. Let me do something positive so I don't express these emotions in a negative way. That's just what it is. Now, when it comes to boys, okay, I believe that's another societal conditioning. Like, we need our boys to be disciplined. They need to be this, they need to be this, they need to be this. Our boys, men, especially in this generation, that's one thing. Emotional self-regulation. Again, we expect women to be vulnerable and express themselves in a compassionate and graceful way. Men have a very hard time processing their emotions, expressing their emotions, and being able to regulate their emotions. Why? Because we think that once boys get to a certain age, we supposed to be tough. They always supposed to get is the tough love, the discipline. We got to teach our boys how to be men. You can teach your boy how to be a man, but you can also teach him how to be his feminine. Everybody needs balance. So yeah, the boy gonna need that father figure, but he needs that father figure from zero. He needs that father figure, that masculine energy, the second he come out the womb. He don't need it at 7, and he don't only need his father at 7. He also needs his mother to come in to create that balance. He needs his mother to come in to give him that compassion, to show him that nurturing, so he knows how to nurture himself first, but then also show compassion and grace to his women, to his daughters, to the feminines that he gonna come across in his life. Because when we make that masculine hard, he gonna give off the same energy that woman giving off when he hard. And then not only that, let's just take relationships out of it. How he treating himself. Because a man that's only programmed to be masculine and to be disciplined, he gonna burn himself out. He gonna grind and grind and grind and work himself into the ground to the point where he ain't good for nobody, not even himself. And then we got toxic masculinity. So we need balance. We need both. We need the masculine and we need the feminine. And another thing, and I got this from Kevin Samuels too, amazing, amazing, amazing. As a culture, y'all, as a culture, we got to stop putting our boys only in sports. That's another thing. Like, emotional self-regulation is the first thing, but we got to do things to strengthen their minds. Put them in STEM programs. Get them into karate. Get them into chess clubs. It's okay to nurture the mind as well. It ain't every boy don't always need to be in sports and going down the football path and doing certain things. We need to get them into the creative things too. We need to tap them into the right brain just like we tapping them into the left. And the same thing with your girls. Like, instead of pushing on your girls, go to school, get a degree, let's teach our children, our girls, to go take sewing classes and go do cooking classes and get into ballet and dance and things of that nature. Start nurturing this from young. Don't just focus on one aspect. Don't just focus on the masculine and discipline. Focus on nurturing that mind, focus on nurturing the body, and focus on nurturing the soul and the emotions. It's all about balance. For a well-rounded individual, it starts in childhood, and it does not only require one energy. It requires both. It requires both. It's all about balance.
Okay, awesome. So
I'm passionate about that.
Yeah, no, I'm letting you far away. I'm letting you far away. So anyway, like I said, see, when I said discipline, you're thinking of core things of like being hard and being tough. I'm not talking about it within that nature.
Or structure.
So when I said within the separation of parents from the mother of the son, the reason why I said you should want to put your son around his dad at a certain age. Do you know most people that was raised in a single parent household with a mother, their first masculine energy is by their coach. The first time they're actually around masculinity is when they're actually around a coach. If you pay attention to NFL, NBA, anybody who grew up in a single parent household, they tell you, yeah, man, coach was one of those people that really like instilled something in me. I used to, like I said, I was raised in a single parent household. I've seen examples from myself and other individuals. If a male would raise his voice, we damn near ready to cry because we've been so nurtured and coddled so long We didn't know how to deal with that energy. So what I'm saying is, look, that's why the best thing a person can do when it comes to parenting, if like you see me, like let's just say hypothetically, we got a son, right? If he might have did something wrong, and I go over there and correct him, he you might see in his face, you might see in his actions, then the energy that's on the feminine side should be able to nurture. Like, look, he's not doing this because he doesn't love you. It's something we want to instill. That's what I say. You have the height and then you have the cool down. He gets both at the same time. But if he's only been around a certain specific energy, that's why what you say, y'all have men that act like bitches. A lot of these dudes are emotional, and that's why they reject male authority a lot, because they never been around fucking men. They're not around men. Like me, I was naturally rebellious to certain men, unless that nigga was talking about putting some hands on me at a young age. I was like, I listen. You know what I'm saying? But then, even then, I was scrap with older dudes. But see, that was one of the biggest things that we talk about in the black community. It's like black people just don't respect other people, male authority, even if they're older than them. Why is that? We still trying to figure that out. Because if they've never been around certain energy, nobody can tell them shit. So that's why I said, like, you got to be able to play somebody there. That's how incels have got created in life. Incels are basically men who are not having sex. Have conversations with them, they're socially awkward. They don't know anything about communication with other individuals. They've never been around other male authority. I got a situation right now with one of my female friends where I'm kind of like shocked how well her brother is doing as of right now, just because I see every step of the way, like, yo, like I was like, where's his pops? He's like, well, his pops not around. Yo, is he in these sports? No, he's not doing sports. The mom wanted him just to be in the house so much. When he stepped into reality, his shit started hitting him to a point. Guess what happened? Oh, you gotta be tough. You gotta go out there. He's never been around the environment yet. He don't know what it's like yet. You overprotected him by coddling him. That's why I said, like, we gotta bring like the positive energy within, positive energy with masculine energy with the right individuals. Sometimes it's not even from your father. Let's be honest. It's not even from your father sometimes. That's why people attach to their coach. I attached myself to my high school teacher. I was like, yo, he was the first man ever in my life to say, you know, Jesus was black. I was like, man, get the fuck out of here. Jesus ain't black. Like, but you know what I'm saying? I never heard that all my life, to a point where there's a black man educated me on the Bible. We're going through things like, he amazed me to a point I wanted to study history. But it took me to get to high school to find somebody that was admirable. He had the family structure. He had daughters, to a point I can actually listen to a male authority.
Okay.
Okay, so let me blow your mind for a second.
Right.
Everything you just said was social conditioning. He's socially awkward by whose standards?
Was it his mom?
Because what is our criteria that we're judging this person's social awkwardness off of? How he relates to other people based off of society standards? He's socially awkward because something within him is kind of a little bit repelling against communicating with people on a certain level. Why can't this man be more his feminine than his masculine? And why do we as society deem that is something wrong with it? And then why are we secluding the male from the daughters? Why are we saying that the boys need to be around their fathers at a certain age, and not saying the children need to be around their fathers at a certain age? Because what the father provides is the structure, the discipline, the organization skills, how to stand in your power, how to speak your truth, all the masculine energies that both the daughter and the son need. Not just one needs that. And then we got to stop raising our children in boxed-in societies once again. It's something wrong with you. You're now socially awkward because you can't go out there and perform in the way that society says that you need to perform. You can't go out there, you a bitch, or you too much, you too girly. Like, what if that man's energy is the part? What if his role in society is to be in that energy? What if his role and the role that he's supposed to play in his life is to be in that energy? Why can't we have men who's more connected to their heart than their egos?
Their heart than their egos?
Yeah, meaning like, why can't we have men who lead more with that compassion and that grace and that understanding, because they was raised by their mothers, and they're not hard on the outside. They don't want to be engaged in sport. They don't watch sports on the TV. They can't have these deep intellectual conversations. Why is there something wrong with them?
Well, like you said, we would say based on society, but then we would also say is placed on both genders as well. It's not just a standpoint of society. Both genders will look at the situation and judge accordingly. That's how people, what's the word? That's how people, like, basically you get the labels of all these things: alpha, beta, sigma. I forgot the last one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why the labels? Because at the end of the day, if I'm in my authentic self, and my authentic self is an introvert, I'm a man, right? Authentically, at my core, I'm an introvert. I don't like being around people like that. I don't want to be the one that's out there socially speaking and talking and the center of attention. Naturally, as a man, that's not who I am in my authentic self. But society says that if I'm not that type of person, if I can't shake, if I can't move, if I can't network, if I'm not good at sports, if I'm not tapped all the way into my masculine energy, into my ego, something is wrong with me. Now I'm becoming something that I'm not. I'm faking it till I'm making it. I have to force myself now to be around this masculine energy, to become a certain thing in order for society to deem me as acceptable and to validate me. I don't believe in that, because everybody, like I said, it's not about what you're born as at the end of the day. And I'm not talking about transgender and none of that. I'm just saying naturally there are some men that are introverts that don't want to be so much in their masculine, attaching to masculine energy and being the person that is deemed as the person who can have these intelligent, intellectual conversations. Some people ain't built to be intellectuals. Some people ain't built to be sports players and be a person who, some people are literally socially awkward. But we got to realize, where does that socially awkward, who made the criteria to determine who is socially awkward? Who's standard?
I was about to say the interaction of social ability in the environment. That was, if you can't speak to people, all right, for instance, you can break autism by actually being around the environment and being social. They have proven studies on that.
Autism is a label.
But, okay. All right, so this is the last thing I say. Okay, are you willing to rewrite the definitions that men don't have to protect, provide, or produce?
No, but you can have a man who is socially awkward that can protect, provide, and produce.
But no. I'm going back to what you said. You said, who says he has to do it? So I'm saying, okay, well then rewrite that the man needs to protect, provide, and produce. So
I don't know. That's two different things. I'm saying, why does a man have these intellectually you can have a social.
I didn't never say intellectual though. I never said intellectual.
Well, I was just saying intellectually. You talking about conversation. But I'm saying you can have a man that's very socially awkward that knows how to protect, provide, and produce. He could probably protect more than the person and provide more than the person who's more so in their masculine, because he's also tapped into his feminine. He could provide not only financially, but he could also provide emotionally. He could also provide mentally for the woman that he's with. A lot of these men who are also providers, that's one aspect. Yes, that is what society is saying that you have to bring to the table. What I'm saying is, when we start conditioning these men to only be providers financially, that's not all it's going to take. Like, even though the woman is bringing the energy emotionally, and she's tapped into her emotionally, she's creating that environment for the man to be safe emotionally. Does not mean that a man does not have to be tapped into his emotions. You have to provide financially, but you also need to provide emotionally to some capacity.
That's EQ. EQ is a part of that. Yeah. IQ and EQ both correlations. We just did a whole subject over the two. But like I think
both is necessary. I just think it's about balance. That's what I'm saying. So my whole trigger was when you said we gotta put the boys around their fathers. I'm like, why the boys gotta be around their fathers at 7? They need to be around their fathers from birth.
I said in a separate household. There's people that's not being raised together right now. If I tell you the first sign of masculine energy is putting a child in sports, like you said, we ain't got to put him in sports, then that's going to also be a conditioning within the environment. Like I said, in what you're saying, I'm saying, okay, cool. If you're saying he doesn't need to take these masculine roles, then we need to be able to write, hey, you don't have to provide, produce, and protect.
No. I'm not saying that.
That's a masculine role.
No, I'm not saying that he don't have to take masculine roles. I'm saying that it needs to be balanced. And this is the thing. What is masculine energy? Masculine energy is physical and it's mental. What I'm saying is a man does not have to be into sports and have his physical masculinity all the way intact to be considered a man. Your mental capacity over physical. There's men who don't like sports, who don't watch sports, who don't do nothing with sports, but they're mentally astute. Like, they're mentally in their masculine. Masculine energy is also mental. Okay? They might not have a conversation, but that mind works wonders. He can get on here, make you get them stocks and bring some bacon into that household. We gonna be eating good. He ain't gotta have a conversation a day in his life. but we're going to be good. You see what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is balance. I'm not saying that we take everything off the table. I'm just saying we don't force people to be something that they're not. Let people flow into who they're supposed to be. But also, like I said with the women, nurture both aspects. Don't only put your son in sports. Also nurture his masculine mental capacity. Put him into, and that's our community. Our community is the only community that's really focusing on putting our children on in sports. Other communities, they focus on both. They focus on the mind and the sports and the emotions. Like, it's everything. It's not just focused on one thing. That's all I'm saying. I'm not disagreeing with you. I agree with everything you're saying. I'm just saying we also got to add that feminine component in with our men, because that's why they're so rigid. That's why they not open emotionally. That's why they also aren't vulnerable, because we just teach them they got to be so hard. You got to be hard. You can't show no emotions. You got to be tough. You got to be this. You got to be this. They need both.
Right.
I love you, because we can go at it. We can go at it. Let's get back to this.
So tapping into the balance, what stuck out to me from observation is like, all right, so if we raise men to only be one way and women to be one way, that's kind of going against science as well, because you got XY chromosomes. Exactly. So if we go back to history, we find out that you have matrilineal and patrilineal systems. It wasn't left or right, you know what I mean? So if we go back to history, you can find out that in our culture, Black women had a high role within that history. If we come back more to a modern positioning, the role seems to change. People make up rules. Civilization steals the show. So I would just simply say it's definitely about balance, because if we raise men to not be in touch with their emotions at all, what I've seen those type of men do is fuck up their own households, because it's foreign to them. So you have men being so masculine, they don't understand that understanding femininity is part of being masculine, and knowing how to, you kind of know, like, you're supposed to, like, quote unquote, like, conquer that energy, but how do you conquer it if it's foreign to you? And you only know how to think about it in a logical sense. So that's where the balance come into play. So primarily in our culture, we'll say, hey, the mom raises the child, the father finishes the product, right? But what you were saying more so is, hey, just have them both there, you know what I'm saying, an equal amount of time, because that'll make that human being a human being versus quote unquote more dominant masculine or dominant feminine. So just looking at byproducts, like I said, you see a lot of men who will wreck their own households because they're not attached to their emotions at all. You see a lot of females that's this new feminine nature that's so strong and masculine, right? But they're not attached to their femininity. So you can always see disconnects and the byproducts of it. Going back to sports and putting your kids into different things, like, a lot of people would say, like, hey, Tupac was a thug. He was a gangster. He didn't play sports. Never played a sport. Yeah. He was in the ballet and art and shit that people would say is feminine. When people seen him in little ballet pictures, they was like, oh, hell no. I don't believe this shit. So if society run your household, you're putting your household in jeopardy. You have to archetype your household and your family based on your own morals and principles and research permutations. Your household is unique within its own factions. And that's why I asked the question about family and society, because a lot of us are so smart that we don't really implement enough education to have that title when it comes to family, because we're not looking at the productivity on both sides, what worked and what didn't work. We still following, we're not leading. So that's my little input on that part, you know.
And what you said too, but going back, because we wasn't always in a patriarchal society. If we go back to ancient Kemet, it was ruled off the feminine energy. Like, it was ruled, right. It was basically ruled off of intuition. And look what they got. They got the pyramids. They got all these things that our human brains can't even understand, because we're so trapped in our masculine. We so trapped into this energy instead of tapping into the other side. But yeah, definitely. And then also, if we look at just society in general, the masculine ego, when it's not tamed by that feminine energy within them. Now, I'm not talking about a woman's feminine energy. When a man don't have that balance, they will literally take relationships off the table. They will run their lives into the ground. Like, literally, they will run their lives into the ground.
Right. And for fellas, like, your ego can't precede your education. There always has to be a balance between both. Like, going back to ancient Kemet, like, the woman played a huge role. Isis, Set is the throne. You don't rule without the throne. So that's a great implication towards that feminine energy being a part of the equation. So I would just, simply say don't get lost too much on either side. Understand the balances between both.
One more thing, and then we bring sports in. Sports is the body, right? It's the body moving. It's the physical exertion of the body. The mind rules the body. Whatever the mind does, the body follows. That's why I said strengthen the mind. Stop focusing on so much strengthening the body, because if the mind is strong, the body naturally going to be strong. It's naturally going to be strong.
If you change,
pretty sure I got recorded because
I'm so sorry, y'all. Somebody else from my people.
You good.
This is a great conversation. I gotta have y'all come talk to my tribe.
Okay.
Masculine perspective.
Listen. I gotta make sure I say this. When we was talking about the balance of masculine and feminine, y'all understood I was talking about separate households, separate from being together, right?
Oh.
And I kept saying, I said, I'm talking about separation of the household where the father's here and the mother's over there. Because then this would be my follow-up question I wanted to ask. I said, you said you was raised in both parent households, right?
I was raised in a 2-parent household, yes.
2-parent households. Okay. So you was able to have the balance of both. So my major question would be to you, okay, if you was able to have both, how was you able to develop daddy issues? I'm really curious on that. Or is it something completely different?
Okay, this is a great question, because honestly, I don't feel like I would be where I am without being raised in a 2-parent household. And the reason behind that, and like I said, my parents was amazing at playing. My father, he was a man who was tapped into his masculine and his feminine energy. My father wasn't fiery. My father was very intellectual. He had 2 degrees. He was a computer programmer. He was literally the person who taught me how to cook, ride a bike. He taught me feminine and masculine traits. And my mom taught me feminine and masculine traits. That's why I feel like I am very blessed when it comes to having 2 parents who was very balanced.
Okay, I can see your standpoint on why you said what you said now.
No, let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
My father issues came from my father being that role model in my life, and then seeing that masculine balanced man fall from grace, and then looking at the masculine energy from a different perspective. So when my father got addicted, that's when everything came crashing down. But up until that point, I had a strong foundation. From the age of 0 to 16, when he did get addicted, I was already who I was going to be. You know what I'm saying? But you got to remember as well, I have a daughter who didn't grow up in a 2-parent household, who I can see the effects on both. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, even though I was raised in a 2-parent household, I raised a girl as well who wasn't in a 2-parent household. And I could see the effect that also had. But that's why I was saying, why are we just saying the boys need to be around their fathers? We need to say the children need to be around their fathers. It's not just the boys. The girls need to. Boys develop more mommy issues, and girls develop more daddy issues. Our daddy issues as women will affect us way more sometimes than our mommy issues, but we will push that to the side. Not having that masculine energy around us for women determines a lot of how we get affected on an emotional level in our relationships. It teaches us what we're supposed to accept, what we're not supposed to accept. If we don't have that masculine energy around us, we learn as we go. We out here teenagers having to figure it out how to navigate masculine energy in relationships without a masculine energy in our life to teach us how to do so. Same thing with men. A man who doesn't have a strong nurturing energy. Think about this. A man can have his mother in the household, right? But that mama could be real masculine. It's like he got a father in the household to a certain extent, because he ain't getting the nurturing, the care that he needs. If a man has a toxic feminine energy in his home and he doesn't have a father, that man is destined to be an emotional disaster when he gets older. He gonna have to do a lot of work on himself to have himself healed on an emotional level, more so than him not being around a father figure. That woman not nurturing, caring, like showing that compassion, showing that grace to a little boy is way, way, way more damaging than them not having that father around. Not saying the father around ain't damaging, but it's going to be way difficult if he don't have that strong mother energy in his life before that father energy. But we need both. We need that balance. And everything you were saying, even when it comes to society conditions, that's not a masculine energy. How we relate to people is feminine. It ain't masculine. You relate from your emotions before you relate with your how you speak. I have to be emotionally comfortable in order to be able to have a conversation with you that's authentic. That's what I'm saying. We could all come out here and just be saying stuff. People do that every day. Everybody out here just saying stuff. But I don't want somebody that's around me just saying stuff. I want somebody that's saying stuff with some integrity and with some authenticity. That comes from your emotions. That's that feminine energy.
Okay. When I made the statement, I see where you're coming from. I was just basing off, you was raised in a 2-parent household. So you see how powerful it is. We had an individual that came up here not too long ago. He kept preaching the whole time, like family, family, family. Listen, you only need to be like, you need to do things that's based on family. So anytime I ever talked about a man being somewhat of a tiger/bachelorette, he would be like, no, you want to be a lion. You don't have family. So there's core principles on how he was raised, why he kept referring to certain things as family. Like both y'all need to be there, both of this and the nature. So I was just talking on a balance of like some men are family men and some men just want to take the long road. That's why I call them tigers and lions. Like I said, lions will always last longer than tigers because tigers rather be alone. And like you said, in relationships, we see men are lasting longer when they're in good relationships with individuals in marriage, right? You have people due to the environment. You have women right now that be like, I'd rather be a baby mama than being white because that's more responsibility.
Yeah, that's the masculine energy.
Exactly, but we got to pay attention to what had actually got them there. Like I said, you have people who, like I said, the first teachers are the mothers. That's what they say. As soon as they come out, the first teachers,
definitely
the mothers. Now we say on the structural level, I always do this, even on the podcast. I say I always picture I'm a structured man. 2 different things is going to impute into a woman's mind. One woman's going to be like, okay, he's structured. He knows where he's going. He's going to set up. He's all about foundational things before getting built up. Another woman will hear me say, I'm structured and be like, sounds like you're controlling. People take interpretations different due to the words you use. Like you said, you talk about EQ and mind. It's all about IQ is comprehension. So when some people speak, they hear things different within their mind, all due to the examples of what they have seen when somebody has said something at the same time. Definitions only have like what it says, but people like to see the examples played out for them to get a better understanding.
Okay, so first thing. Yeah. When a baby is first born, how do they communicate?
How a baby is first born, how do they communicate?
Comes naturally. Comes naturally, right?
They communicate with their emotions. They cry. They cry. They communicate with their emotions. They can't talk yet. So emotions always lead before how you communicate. We communicate with our emotions before we communicate with how we speak. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's just how we're led. The feminine energy always leads. We always communicate with our emotions before we communicate with how we speak, right? So that's the first thing. And then, literally, your emotions will lead. How you respond, what you say out your mouth is going to be based off how emotionally vulnerable, how emotionally free you feel. And then on top of that, when we're talking about how people perceive things, I don't talk based off of the trigger. You see, so basically it's like when I speak, it's not because I come from a 2-parent household, it's because of what I believe, how we should be leading in the world. So I'm not going to speak based off of what society says is right. I'm going to speak based off of what we need to see. Yeah, it's definitely, it's a lot of people that come from broken family households. You might see things from that perspective, but I'm not going to speak in accordance, not just saying you, I'm just talking about people who perceive things in that way. I'm not going to speak to that trigger, into that wound. I'm going to speak into the healing aspect of it. I'm going to speak life. I'm not going to speak death. So just because somebody came from a single parent household, that ain't cool. The way you perceive life coming from a single parent household is not always healthy. So I'm not going to just say, oh, you came from a single parent household, let me talk to you like this. No, I'm going to talk to you in the aspect in which how I feel the healed version of you needs to be. And that comes from the balance, because you only get one perspective when you come from a single parent household versus a 2-parent household. But just because somebody was raised in that type of environment, that does not mean the way they are living their life is right, because this is how they chose to live their life because they came from a single parent household. No. We gotta stop catering to people's triggers, because a lot of times people are maneuvering from their shadows and their triggers, and we're saying this. Okay, this is how I am. How many times y'all have heard a person say, "This is how I am. This is how I am." You guys gotta accept how I am. Just because that's how you are, because you how you was conditioned, how you was socially programmed or programmed by your mom or your daddy to be, don't mean it's right. It don't mean it's right. So yeah, definitely, people come from different households. Yeah, I did come from a 2-parent household, but like, I was very masculine. And me coming from a 2-parent household ain't mean nothing. I still turned out to be like somebody who came from a single-parent household. It don't really matter.
And I go back to why you brought up imbalances between individuals. Because it's like, if you imbalance, it's really not like, if I would have came from a 2-parent household, both my parents, I probably would have been worse off. just keeping it real, because both my parents are very masculine. Both lack empathy, and both are very aggressive. So I had to start looking at myself, like, in the past me, like, okay, was I overly aggressive? Do I communicate a little rough? Do I lack these type of empathetic thoughts? Okay, cool. So where did that come from? Now look at my parents. It would have just been more chaos probably if they would have raised me jointly. You know what I mean? So it really wouldn't matter who I interacted with, more so because they both was executing in a masculine. So, but that go back to people like studying themselves. Like, man, know thyself. You have to look at your personal patterns, your personal relationships, intimate friendships, whatever. How did these things end? What role did you play into these results? And then you can kind of go back to your childhood and see kind of what you lacked at the same time, or probably what you needed more of, so to speak. So that's definitely keys. What you got on that, Juice?
Oh, man, I was looking up something that she had said. I was making sure I was interpreting it right in my mind. I don't even know what was. I gotta be honest, I was focused on what was said.
Yeah, we on the balances between the masculine and feminine. How?
And I'm just saying, if we just stop focusing on what society wants us to be and focus on energy, like, know your birth chart, know what energies you made up of. Like, y'all are both Pisces suns. Like, y'all are both very much in your very mature feminine energy on a soul level. Both of y'all are here to tap into that feminine side. Like, you will evolve and grow more as a Pisces sun by tapping into your feminine energy. That's just what it is. Just like, look, I'm an Aries sign. I grow and evolve more by learning how to balance my masculine. So it's just like, if we live off of energy and not live off of what we're supposed to be like, it'll just be so much easier.
Personality test, man, is key. I took a personality test recently, and I think 52% of my decisions were made out of empathy, and about 48 were made out of logic. That's very fucking.
You know, that's you basically balanced.
That was very fucking close.
Right.
Very close. You know what I mean? So,
that's as close as it's gonna get. Yeah. So literally, good think about it. Like, it's not authentic. Like, okay, it's more about what's feeding your ego. I gotta be out here and I gotta be this because this is what society says I am. I'm a man if I do this, I do that. Why? No, go with your energy.
Ooh, okay. I gotta pop the question now. I gotta pop the question now. So you said go with your energy. So no matter how somebody is, do you still feel like giving direction, or do you be like, hey, look, whatever you're feeling, just go with it?
How you classifying feelings? Because somebody who is not in control of their emotions should never go with their feelings. Because you're gonna be feeling everything. You're gonna be feeling all type of chaotic stuff. If you don't know how, if you are not somebody that's emotionally mature, you don't need to be going with nothing you feel. If you are someone that's emotionally mature and that's tapped in, definitely. You need to learn how to control your emotions and be emotionally self-regulated. Once you can do that, always go with your feelings. But if you are out here, you don't know how to process your emotions, you don't know how to express your emotions, you chaotic, one day you up, one day you down, the morning you in good spirits, the next day you in bad spirits. If you somebody that know that you can't have a conversation without erupting and you feeling all type of things, and then as soon as you calm down, you feeling something different, don't go based off of your feelings. It all depends on the person, how they can handle their feelings and their emotions. If you can't understand your emotions, learn to understand your emotions, and then go with your feelings. That is what the spiritual journey is all about. Learning how to tap into your intuition is connected to your feelings. Our intuition is our internal compass. Our ego is supposed to act on what the intuition is telling us. The feminine is the intuition. The masculine is the conscious mind. And the ego is the masculine energy. Once your feminine energy, your intuition, tells you what you need to be doing, then the masculine acts and the masculine moves. So much now, the masculine energy, our ego and the mind is trying to tell us where we going down, what we supposed to be doing, how we supposed to be doing it, all this other stuff. No, then you going down to a whole road, and you're going to have to take so many different detours. When you can just take the straight and narrow path if you listen to your internal compass, your intuitive GPS, and using your masculine energy to take action on what your intuition is telling you. But if you somebody that's not tapped into your intuition because you ain't tapped into your emotions, you should not be doing. You need to calm down and think before you do anything. No.
So emotional maturity is what you need before following your emotions.
Emotional maturity. Because think about it. If I'm someone that knows that I can erupt emotionally, like as soon as you get on my nerves, I'm going to cuss you out and I'm going to leave. Once I calm down, that action of me leaving is going to make me either feel so embarrassed, going to make me look stupid. I'm going to be like, why I do that? Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Because now I'm acting off of unbalanced and immature emotions. So no, not everyone should act off of their emotions and how they feel. Definitely not.
Well, that's why some people kill in their instinct and why people rethink about it. So
passion to crime is one of the most things. That's one of the most crimes. Crimes of passion.
All right, okay. Kind of going back to history, I was just simply say, like, on the masculine level, like, a lot of us use these titles, king this, king that, all this shit. We understand these things, but it's like a lot of, let's say you tap into that energy, quote unquote, it's a lot of kings that got betrayed by the people that love, quote unquote, they love the most. It's a lot of kings that died lonely. A lot of people that go to that hospital room and nobody in that motherfucker with them, but they feel like they executed in a type of masculine fashion. So it's like, you have to understand both. You know what I mean? Like, you definitely have to understand both. That's the longevity of your rulership being in your kingsmanship. That's going to extend that longevity versus you die quick. So they go back to what we was talking about with, like, society and you setting your own terms of engagement as to your masculine energy and feminine energy being balanced. So, yeah. I mean, we should just study history and just see who had the longest reigns.
Look at Queen Elizabeth.
Right.
That is literally, like, she is tapped in. Okay, like I would say she's balanced. Like we could say, because she has to be tapped into the feminine to a certain extent in order to have ruled as long as she has, and in order for her health to be how it is as well. That's why kings and rulers who are men usually perish faster. They usually die of illnesses and sicknesses faster because they're only ruled by their egos and their minds. They're not tapped into that feminine energy. Her husband died before she did.
I'm about to say, don't women outlive men?
Why? That's the whole point I'm making. Because the women are more, what a woman learns how to tame her inner masculine, because we naturally have that feminine energy, right? Once we learn how to tame our inner masculine and we're balanced, our health becomes more balanced. Our lifespans start to get longer. Men, because they're so programmed, that's why I say it's so important to not leave the feminine aspect out from our sons and raise them nurturing that, because we will also, why our men gotta wait until they get a wife for their lifespans to be great, to be longer. Because if they got that energy when they was young and was taught how to do that for themselves, just how women are naturally doing that because we have that estrogen and we have that energy within us, they will already be able to expand their lifespans, but even without a woman.
Okay. So would that also go with semen retention?
Semen retention is talking about a whole different thing.
But they also say that's a man's life force.
To a certain extent.
Okay, elaborate. Let's educate.
Okay, so semen retention. So basically, you're saying that a man cannot live long unless he does semen retention.
No, I'm saying from what people have been putting into studies, the more life force that you have released, they're saying they're depleting his lifespan. This is what they're getting at. But then you have people who have never had sex that still live longer. So,
okay. So I would say semen retention is a way that you can retain your energy, like boxers, right? They're told not to have sex before a fight because they're going to have more energy, right? Your life force, such as slow sex, is connected to your energy. So, yeah, semen retention, I say, is energetic. Energy is your life force. But once again, if we're only focusing on semen retention, I don't believe semen retention alone is going to make a man live longer. No. I think we still got to bring that balance into play. But sex is feminine. Sex is feminine energy. It's creative energy, even for men or for women. But semen retention could definitely be a way to retain your energy for certain periods of time. But I still think you need to incorporate the other aspects of balance into your life in order to do so. Like, for example, that's like me saying, if a person doesn't drink water, how long do you think they're going to survive without drinking water?
Shit, not long.
That's feminine energy. I'm not going to be able to live if I don't drink no water.
So water is
I can live longer because the human body is made of 80% water, right? If I am drinking water on a regular basis, that will also extend my life force. That's also scientifically proven. So I think it's a lot of things that can extend our life force, not just one thing. But I don't think we should just focus on one thing in order to extend our life force. I feel like we should try to master as much as we can in order to extend our life force.
Right, taking care of the organs, eating the proper, like I say, every produce that's ever created literally matches an organ in our body. So that's something that also helps out. But no, like I said, I said what I said to get you right here. So I was like, okay.
Oh, but you know what? That's actually really good, though. You know why? Because what do you need in order to retain your semen?
Zinc. Zinc is one of the things. Calcium.
Your mind. Because remember, whatever the mind does, the body follows. A man who's not mentally strong cannot retain his semen.
Right. And again,
so if you can retain your semen, that means in some capacity you got some mental strength. It's a mental strength somewhere.
Wait, so if water is feminine, then what's masculine liquid-wise? Or there's no masculine that's liquid?
Coffee, alcohol, any type of fiery drinks, things of that nature. Carbonated drinks is considered masculine. But definitely coffee. Coffee, that's why they say if you drink a lot of coffee, coffee can do so much damage to the body if you don't balance it out with water. It's like putting fire, and think about constantly putting fire in your body and not doing something to cool it off. Caffeine is the most masculine. Caffeine and alcohol is the most masculine things that you can put in your body.
That's actually interesting. Yet they sell coffee as one of the key things to health. that's inner things. That's interesting.
Who does that though? Because I always talk about society. Because listen, look at this though. You go listen to this. If you go to impoverished neighborhoods, you see a liquor store on every corner. But if you go to a rich neighborhood, what you see on every corner? A coffee shop. They're both killers. Mm-hmm. To a certain extent, they're both killers. I'm just going to put in certain things in certain neighborhoods that I think that society, that demographic is going to draw to. On every store in the impoverished neighborhood, we're going to see a liquor store, and replacing that in the rich neighborhood with a Starbucks on every corner. Everywhere I go, I'm going to see a Starbucks. I ain't going to see no liquor stores, but I'm going to see a Starbucks where I'm at. But back when I was living in the hood, it was a liquor store. I had to drive to a Starbucks. Right. But they both have the same effects. That's why they got the coffee shops, liquor stores, fast food places. Society is going to say certain things is healthy. They're going to tell us that's why you can't follow what society is saying. It's the great American diet, the American diet. Whatever they say is the great American diet, the sad diet, the standard American diet, you need to do the opposite of it.
Mm-hmm. And to connect too with the coffee thing, going back to that analogy, one thing that makes coffee unhealthy is the sources, right? So a lot of coffee that people package up is like a hot dog. It's a compilation. So more coffee coming from one source could be healthier, but then you still got the caffeine effect, which could be unhealthy. But water being feminine, more so as water comes from nature. So it comes from nature, more so, more feminine. But going back to the semen retention, a lot of people take semen retention as not engaging into sex versus ejaculation. Ejaculation is semen retention as well. So it's not so practicing abstinence, but using that energy appropriately. So sexual energy is your creative energy, and you have a mental capacity over your creative energy. Now we're talking. Now ejaculation is on the table on semen retention. I watched a very crazy interview with Kevin Gates. And bro,
that's my boy, man.
Why Kevin Gates crazy? I love me some Gates.
Going left. And he talked about it. He like, you know, saying, I fuck my bitch and I make that.
You talking about when he was on there with the girl from City Girl? Yeah, that was a good interview. That was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and he talked about the same thing, like ejaculation. So yeah, most definitely people use.
And you know what else? Creative energy is feminine. So now that you said that, semen retention is still feminine energy. Feminine energy is still extending your life force.
EQ.
Wow.
And then also y'all Kevin Gates followers. I mean not Kevin Gates, Kevin Samuels followers, right?
I am.
What he was doing every night. And he was Pisces. Popping them Red Bulls, drinking that cognac, both the things, just burning him up from the inside out. You know, heart attack. It was bound to happen. I hate to say it like that. I wish wish he would have been a little balanced. But he's a Pisces. At the end of the day, he naturally needs water.
Man, let me take a sip of water.
Y'all don't water. Yo, look, the sun. So what happens is with the sun, right? We all got sun and moon signs. So your sun is literally represented by your life force energy. So at the time you were born, the sun was in the constellation of Pisces, which means your soul needs
Let's get into this
in order to thrive. You need water in order for your soul to operate at its optimal capacity. You need to be filled with the water energy in order for your soul to be operated at the maximum capacity.
Nice.
All right, get the camera a little closer, but yeah, okay, definitely. We're into astrology now. Cool. Let's go ahead. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and do this. What was your introduction into astrology?
I didn't have an introduction to astrology. I had a dream about birth charts. Didn't even know what a birth chart was. I feel like definitely looking back that I was being tapped into a past life, and it just came naturally. I didn't have to learn it. It just came literally. But I know, I don't know if y'all, I don't know if I'm talking too deep, but I know that I had past lifetimes in Egypt, and I know that in Egyptian culture, astrology was they ran their culture based off of astrology, based off of occult practices. Back then it was a matriarchal society, ancient Kemet. So with my past life knowledge from that lifetime, I feel like I was easily able to tap into. I didn't even have to learn astrology. I took no courses. It just came. It just flowed. Like I didn't have to learn anything.
Okay, so even with numerology, everything like I said, anything that happened in ancient Kemet, you know what I'm saying, whatever people want to call it these days, was literally studied to a point that everybody uses it around the world. But now they're trying to tell you it's science. Like, bro, that was a Kemetic studies. What's the other one? Kemetic science. My fault. There it is. That was one of the things that was. Yeah. So that's why when I said X, I give X glory to that. X is what actually introduced me more into Kemetic studies and stuff of that nature. I was more always on finance. I still am. Like, what we end up switching later on in life. You start getting more economic, I start getting more on the spiritual path. We just balance each other out. That's why a lot of stuff we do is just healthy. It's like, okay, cool. Like, we understand each other. Okay, so let me ask you this. Is it 12 months or 13 months?
Based off of what?
Based off, who studies that? I forgot what.
Because the months is okay. So this is what it is. The months are ruled by constellation. Okay, so basically what it is like Aries, right? There's a constellation in Aries, and based off of what society tells us, it's the season of Aries. It just means that the sun is in Aries at that time, and we're gonna say this is a month. But time is an illusion. There's no such thing as months or days. So basically, based off of what we created, the calendar system, whatever you want to call it, that's what it is. Just like the new year starts off in January, but typically the new year isn't until Aries season in March. That's when the energy starts. That's when we're in spring. That's when things are new. So it just depends on what you see. I'm not a society person, but we got to live by society standards. So I have to say it's 12 months because that's what we living by. And did y'all see the article now that the planet is speeding up? So then they talking about they might got to start adding more days to the weeks and things like that because now the Earth is speeding up.
That's the white man doing that dumb shit. Man.
See, it's like whatever man feels like they want to do, they go and do. Like I'm tired of playing this game with them.
Whatever he want to do, he gonna do, man.
Yeah, it's like it's so confusing. I don't know. It could be 15 months. I don't know.
Okay, cool. What is hold on, my phone. I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead, X.
Now go ahead. You got another question. I'm going to your dialogue. I was just gonna say, how do y'all feel about opening up people coming into the live? Because we got some requests. I don't know if we want to keep it exclusive right now. And then
is there a red thing right there about a cute question?
Yeah.
Just hit it.
All right, cool. I just want to get that approval. So go ahead, ask your question.
Man, I forgot what's your life path number? That's what I want to know.
I'm 3 everything. I'm 3 born in the month of March. I'm born on the 30th, birthday on the 3, and I'm a 3 life path. All 3s.
Okay. Now I'm life path 9. Oh, well, I don't know.
Your life path 9?
I said I'm a 9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Makes That's what I know. Sense. You got a lot of feminine energy in you.
Really?
You know, 9 is Hermit energy. That's feminine. That's Virgo. It's represented by that Virgo energy. What's your moon sign?
Huh? Pisces sun, Gemini moon, Sagittarius rising. So,
your moon is 7 you is in the 7 5. That makes a lot of sense. Okay.
252.
Okay.
Okay, somebody says 1, 3s, 7s. Okay. You got different life paths. You gonna read out the question?
Yeah.
You're very interesting. Let me think about this. Okay, so you are 9 life. Let's think. Okay, let's wait a second. Okay, wait a second. Okay, listen. You would not. Okay, so we got the mutable signs, right? Sagittarius, Gemini, Virgo, and Pisces. Your 9 life path is Virgo energy. Your sun is in Pisces. Your moon is in Gemini, and your rising sign is in Sagittarius. You're all mutable, which means that, wow. So let me ask you something. Outside of this, right? What else? What type of work are you in?
I just started a new business 2 days ago. So I'm about to get a logistics and dispatching company up and running. Just enrolled in school for trucking. I have a couple of different other business ventures going around. When I'm not working, I'm still working for myself, or I'm around my mentors 24/7.
But you don't have like a traditional job.
Traditional job? Yeah, I still clock in.
What's that work?
Oh man, I'm outside. I'm dropping off your box. I work at FedEx.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So you're kind of like me, because like even when I wasn't like healing this capacity, because Gemini energy rules driving. So even with you, like, first of all, as a Sagittarius rising, you can't be in no traditional work, but like you probably die and have to clock in. But this is in line with your Gemini energy. The trucking company is in line with your Gemini energy. But you're like constantly at war with yourself about like what to do. It's earlier on in life because everything is like in opposition. Like your whole chart is like opposition. Mm-hmm. But that's what makes the grades, because it's like that makes it so that you never stay inside your box.
Not at all.
Very interesting.
I told X I always had a passion for going into both worlds. It was always interesting. It was always interesting to learn whether you want to do the corporate side, you want to do the street side, you want to be around the businessmen, you want to be around the street. Like, it was all interesting to me. I loved it. It's just fascinating to me. So I never allowed myself.
Like, I'm all mutable. Like, my 3 is represented by Gemini energy, right? My rising sign is Virgo. My moon is in Sagittarius. And then my Mercury is in Pisces. So I'm all mutable, which you can never put me in a box. I can't.
Yeah. I'm the same way. That's why some of this conversation.
Okay, that's cool. Okay. I just had to break it down. Okay, so what was the question?
Damn, I don't even remember no more.
Peaches asked what exercises are masculine and feminine. So masculine exercises will be weight training, anything that exerts to get your heart rate. HIIT workouts is masculine. Anything that really requires you to put some type of tension on the heart and on the body. Yoga, Pilates, walking, dancing, things of that nature is most so considered feminine exercises.
Hey, so I had a question. I do not know my moon rising. I can't lie and make that up right now. I don't know. But,
you know your birth? You know your birthday and the time you was born?
I mean, yeah, I got a chart, but I haven't really.
She got you. She's the reader right there. Ask her. I mean, tell her.
You don't know your rising sign?
I got a chart. I got a chart, but I really ain't tapped into it all the way.
Okay.
Yeah, we get to that later.
I can see the Pisces in you because your eyes, Pisces got those fish eyes, like your eyes are set apart. So I definitely see your Pisces, and I see Earth in you too because you're very like this. So your moon or your rising must be in the Earth sign: Virgo, Capricorn, or Taurus.
Okay.
Yeah, pull your birth chart. It's good to know. It's good to definitely know your energies.
Facts. All right. I mean,
they say you appear very balanced. You're definitely very balanced, like tapped in.
All right, so I guess any more questions? Any questions you got for us? I don't know, Juice, you got some more questions?
If she want to ask those questions, she can ask. I mean, I'm a learner. I just want to ask.
I don't have no questions tonight, but I would like to. I'm gonna reach out to y'all about coming to speak to my women because it's always good to have a masculine perspective as well. So,
okay.
No questions tonight for me.
I ain't gonna charge.
It's a very dope conversation. I appreciate being able to tap in with y'all. This is amazing.
Appreciate you.
Okay. I mean, wait, was that the end? Or do I ask questions now?
I mean, you got
are you ready for questions? Okay, cool. Let me get to work. You said you know your past life, right? Do you already know what your next life will be after this one?
No. I don't think nobody knows that.
So, who was that? Not Nas. It was somebody that said, like, in the future I'll be reborn or something. So, yes, I forgot how he explained it. Oh, my fault. Is everybody's spiritual gifts somewhat of the same, but everybody's somewhat opposite, right? You got palm readers. Are they as accurate as a tarot? Like, if I got a palm reader, I got a tarot card reader, and I got...
Oh, it's almost 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah.
We gotta go.
All right,
we're gonna do a part 2 though. We're gonna do a part 2.
Yeah,
and y'all better not delete my live.
Nah, we not. We can only keep what we can keep right now. You still got lost.
The person who deleted.
You still got lost though.
No, but Instagram does that sometimes. But they didn't delete a lot of my stuff, and I had to take a break from Instagram for a while and go to YouTube because it was crazy. It was bad.
I mean, yeah, like I said, we was online. It just clicked off, and then when I kept trying to go back live, it said you're timed out. You're timed out. I was like, bro, I've never been timed out, so that means somebody reported it. So, yeah.
All right, so Miss Ruth, you famous, but get the people your handles on social media.
I'm not famous.
Tell them what to follow.
At Ruth_Sky, and on YouTube I'm Ruth Sky. I'm just Ruth Sky on everything. Everything Ruth Sky. 2 Y's.
All right, Sky with 2 Y's. Be sure to tap into YouTube, IG, Talking That Talk official podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tap into the IG for more content. All right.
All right, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Good night, y'all.
I need to go wash my face and brush my teeth. All right, big.